No, I already got,
Walker?
yeah, I got 27, yeah.
And what did you do? What is your?
And I would like to ask Gloria Ewer to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I'm getting a little long here.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Gloria. Well, as you may have guessed, this meeting is dedicated to Gloria Ewer. Because Gloria, has it been a year?
No, it's only been about 9 months.
9 months ago, Gloria took over the stewardship of the Forever Young Club. We lost Kay. It was a really hard time. The Forever Young Club has gone through a difficult time because we've lost a lot of our seniors, and numbers were shrinking, and I think spirits were down. COVID didn't help. We had to cancel our trips, the senior trips. Gloria comes in just like, I don't even know what, somewhere between a hurricane and the friendly witch of the West. I mean, she just has completely transformed. She's been transformative to the Forever Young Club. She has an enormous heart. She has more energy than the entire town board rolled into one person. And I am so grateful that you have jumped in with both feet, both arms, your whole heart. We had a senior trip recently where we had to get a larger bus because seniors from Clinton Corners are now joining our activities. And it's only going to keep getting better. And Gloria, it's thanks to you. So. Madam Town Clerk.
Okay, Wendy Burton,
Yes.
Ann Aaron,
Yes.
Margaret Fallon,
Yes.
Nathan LaVirtue,
Yes.
Frank Pepe.
Yes.
The town board liaison reports. I'd like to start with Frank Pepe so I don't forget.
Well, that's quite all right, actually. Very quickly, a few reports. Dutchess County Commission on Human Rights. I met with Director Jody Miller on Tuesday. We spoke about the role of liaison in the towns like Stanford that have established them, how we may work together to engage that to a further degree more of the towns. We did spend a lot of time talking about Executive Marcus Molinara's initiative on housing, and she sent me yet another copy of the county needs assessment on housing, but I promised I would read it completely this time, and she asked that we liaisons keep that in mind as we play our roles. On insurance, we've had a very active liaison with Jane on which insurance will be suitable for which project that's going on, the boiler project, the carpet project, so thank you, Jane, on that. That's going fairly well. Last night, I had the great opportunity to be the guest liaison at the zoning board of appeals. I was brought in from the bullpen.
I see.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
Just really quickly, they are a great group. They had two applicants, Jason Construction on a public hearing and Mr. Westergaard on an area variance. And it was they took the role of helping the people who needed to accomplish the role. So it was great to see them. Those two changes, those two applications were successful. Prior to that, I attended the July 27th planning board meeting. It was very effective. There was lots of progress. There was approvals on a number of cases. I'd be happy to share them with the board if you'd like the minutes of the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I guess you don't have one.
What he said.
Nathan?
Yes, from the recreation in no particular order. There was a discussion about various grants that are out there, funding mechanisms, and some next steps that they're going to take. The tennis courts should be done by the end of next week, which is good news. There is a, how do I put this politely, a geese issue?
Yes. Who's
There are, yes, what the geese leave behind is definitely the issue. So there's some discussions and research as how to mitigate that. Lauren is exploring a summer camp program for next year. The initial, what she said, probably only hurdle is funding. So she's not sure of the cost yet, but she's waiting on guidelines from the county as well. For those that don't know, Lauren put in for a grant for a dock. She received a $100,000 grant for this new dock. That project will be put up to bid in the fall. The money's not available until October, but hopefully for next spring, next summer, there may be done. So that's exciting. For this year, they're looking to close on the 26th, 28th, it's dependent on availability of lifeguards essentially. And then the last one is exciting because it's, I think, 3 years in the making. The Haunted Fortress website is up and now it's on Facebook, so that is now public.
Did you say the closing date was in
August 26th or 28th. That's it. And I saw it. Just the
Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you. I don't know how that
I can do it. It does it all the time.
Margaret?
I missed the CIC because I was out of town, but maybe someone could give a quick update. Not to put you on the spot.
No pressure, Curtis.
I'm trying to remember what we talked about.
I can do a report next time. We'll let Curtis off the hook.
Okay. I have oh, are you still thinking about it?
Well, it's about the dam, but I know you have a.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
I have a very short report. Oh, except you want me to do my financial report all
If you don't mind.
So, I'm very excited that next Tuesday, Krista is hosting a little meeting at the library with the Food Bank of the Hudson Valley, which is interested in bringing a mobile pantry to the library one day a month. And I have invited Ryan Orton from the Grange because of our little food pantry, and I invited Dennis, no I didn't, Ann Derry.
She got nervous.
Invited Ann Derry from our community garden at the rec to attend, but I may have overreached because when I had this wonderful conversation with the woman from the food pantry, it sounded as if maybe I should try to coordinate all parties that are involved in food scarcity in our town. But I think that was an overreach because this is a very specific, they want to bring a mobile pantry to the library for one day a month and supply people with goods. So, but I'm still really excited that we can make this happen because everything helps. I'm going to be away several times in September. Jeff and I are having a baby.
Well, congratulations.
Oh! Jeff, how are you?
Yeah, when it's almost due.
The baby's due any minute, so we're going to be going to Wisconsin to meet the baby. And I will also be away a second time, so I will just work with you on dates to make sure everything's covered. As far as the supervisor's office, Jane Cottrell and our bookkeeper, Kim Apar, are working really hard on policies. Requests for proposals for needed items such as the furnace and the hazardous carpet replacement. We're not replacing, the carpet we're replacing is hazardous. We're not replacing it with hazardous carpet.
That's good.
as well as initial budget preparation for 2023. And I just need to publicly commend Jane and Kim for the extraordinary amount of time they're putting into this work and for the support that they offer me. We're really a team, and I do know that the Special Events Committee has been working with a broad group of interested parties to create a full weekend of learning and activities about our architectural heritage. It's going to be a fabulous weekend, and it's in October. It coincides with Ag Day in Pine Plains, the big Ag Fair, and also with Emily Hayes' Centennial Farm celebration. We're going to have a panel discussion with farmers and maybe with some people from other agencies. So it's going to be informative, and I think it's just a wonderful idea to bring agriculture and our farming, to the forefront. So that's a big project that they're working on. As far as my financial report, I have it. Well, the board received my supervisor's report and bank reconciliation, as well as 2 payroll verification reports. As far as the financial forecast for August, our revenues continue to look excellent. This month, we should receive the county, the penalties for property taxes, which generally come in July, but it's a few days late, so I'm not too worried. And that will probably be around $15,000. We received, it's not in this month's numbers, it'll be posted next month, but we received our second quarter payment from the cable franchise. That was almost $1,300. That leaves us still needing almost $20,000 from cable division, but we get a third quarter payment in November, and then we approve for a fourth quarter payment in February. We're over $1,000 on the park and rec charges. The disposal tickets are right on target. Building permits are already at 69%. Research fees and the certificates of occupancy are already way over. Court fees are actually catching up, and I think that's because of how hard our special prosecutor and Patty Koch have been working. But I think we may even beat the goal because they're cranking it out. He's finally catching up, so that's great. We receive our next mortgage tax payment in December, and we're looking at that we'll be ahead on that as well. So overall, we're at 88% of our revenue goals. As far as expenditures, I keep saying this because it keeps being true. And we've done one transfer, we're going to have to do another, but we're going to face a shortfall with the court prosecutor. I can't fault him for all the work he's doing and all the work that he's catching up on and the revenue he therefore is bringing in for us. But we had, this was nothing like what Kyle was billing, so we're just going to have to figure out what we're going to do for next year, and we can find the money, to keep moving. But he's a big cost. And then the other major adjustments that we'll be making are in the highway appropriations, and we'll present that next month. We're working on it. So that's that. And now I'd like to open the room to privilege of the floor. Please state your name and address for Rita Mary, and we would ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes.
I'll try to keep it to a minute. Henry Boringer, 38 Thompson Lane. I'm here to reflect on open government, especially as it relates to the comprehensive plan. And as I understand it, there have been no minutes taken on any of the workshops. And, that could be okay perhaps for a normal board workshop, but this is a very specific type of workshop, and it has a very specific meaning. And I think that minutes should be, going forward, maintained for that. The reason is that whoever is going to write whatever comes out of this, meaning the regulations, like in Congress, they keep minutes. They keep minutes in committee meetings, they keep minutes on the floor. So that when people who write the regulations are allowed to go back and look at those minutes and reflect on them to better understand what was meant. And that has not happened here at all. So I don't think we've had good government in that regard. The other side of the equation is that just because it's a public meeting doesn't mean that the public shouldn't have access to what was said there by not being there, especially when it comes to this plan, because it has a long-standing influence in this town. So, you can pat yourself on the back and saying that I've had more good government or open government here by putting another privilege of the floor down. But that's not open government. That's not what we need in this specific circumstance. And there's been a lot of criticism because of COVID and whatever else from the outset, how this has been managed. And to not have minutes going forward on this is to me, I think, a travesty and not right for the citizens of Stanfordville. So that's what I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak? Okay. Does anyone have anything to add to the agenda? Then I would like to, yes, Frank?
Just on resolution 8A, I have 1A as the budget modifications.
Go by the numbers on the agenda.
Yeah, are you talking about this? Just go by the agenda as far as.
Okay, really covered.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Okay, the first item is the procurement policy, second reading and adoption. Margaret, would you like to read the, I can give you mine, I just don't have the voice. I'm just gonna run into the wall.
Okay, so policy section purchasing, replacing purchasing 2015. Number 1, summary, establishes procedures for all purchases of goods and services and all public works not required to be publicly advertised and bid under New York State General Municipal Law 103. 2, purpose, goods and services that are not required by law to be procured pursuant to competitive bidding must be procured so as to assure the prudent and economical use of public monies in the best interest of the taxpayers, to facilitate the acquisition of goods and services of maximum quality at the lowest possible cost under the circumstances, and to guard against favoritism, improvidence, extravagance, fraud, and corruption. To further these objectives, the town board is adopting an internal policy and procedures governing all procurements of goods and services that are not required to be made pursuant to the competitive bidding requirements of GML 103 or of any other general, special, or local law. 3, policy, standard 1. Every prospective purchase of goods or services shall be evaluated to determine the applicability of GML 103. All purchases of supplies or equipment which will exceed $20,000 in a fiscal year or public works contracts over $35,000 shall be publicly advertised and bid pursuant to GML 103. Standard 2. All purchases and acquisitions may proceed only if there are sufficient funds currently available in the budget or available through acceptable budget modifications. All payment vouchers must be signed by the department head or the supervisor and approved by 3 members of the town board. Standard 3. All estimated purchases of less than $20,000 but greater than $6,000 require a written request for proposal, RFP, and written price quotes from 3 vendors. Equal to or less than $6,000 but greater than $2,000 require an oral request for the goods and oral or written quotes from 2 vendors. Equal to or less than $2,000 but greater than $250 are left to the discretion of the purchaser. All estimated public works contracts of less than $35,000 but greater than $10,000 require a written RFP and proposals from 3 contractors. Equal to or less than 10,000, but greater than 5,000, require a written RFP and proposals from 2 contractors. Equal to or less than 5,000, but greater than 500, are left to the discretion of the purchaser. Any written RFP shall describe the desired good, quantity, and the particulars of delivery. The purchaser shall compile lists of all vendors from whom written or oral quotes have been requested and the written and oral quotes submitted. All information gathered in complying with the procedures of this guideline shall be preserved and filed with the documentation supporting the subsequent purchase or public works contract. The highway superintendent does not require prior supervisor or town board approval to purchase tools, equipment, or supplies not exceeding 5,000. Standard 4. The lowest responsible proposal or quote shall be awarded by the purchase contract or public works contract unless the purchaser provides written justification giving reasons why it is in the best interest of the town and its taxpayers to make an award other than the lower bidder. If a bidder is not deemed responsible, facts supporting that judgment shall be documented and filed with the record supporting the procurement. Standard 5, a good faith effort shall be made to obtain the required number of proposals or quotations. If the purchaser is unable to obtain the required number of proposals or quotations, the purchaser shall document the attempts made to obtain them. In no event shall the inability to obtain proposals or quotes be a bar to the procurement. Standard 6. Except as directed by the town board, no solicitation of written proposals or quotes shall be required under the following circumstances. A. Acquisition of professional services. B. Public emergencies as described in GML 103. C. Sole source situations. D. Surplus and secondhand supplies. E. Purchase contracts for less than 250. F. Public works contracts for less than 500. Standard 7. Under certain statutory exceptions to bidding, quotation and proposal requirements of state law in this policy, the town is authorized to consider other expedient procurement methods as follows. A. Through certain state and federal contracts per GML 104. B. Through certain county contracts except contracts involving services subject to Article 9 of the New York State Labor Law per GML 103. C. Pursuant to State Finance Law 162. D. Purchases from New York State OGS preferred source organizations. E. Pursuant to any New York State law enacted as an exemption to the requirements of GML 103. Standard 8. The following, each a purchaser, are responsible for purchasing goods and services for the town. A. Town supervisor. B. Superintendent of highways. C. Town clerk. D. Town justices. And E. Department heads. Standard 9. This policy shall be reviewed annually by the town board at its organizational meeting or as soon thereafter as is reasonably practical. Standard 10. The unintentional failure to comply with the provisions of General Municipal Law 104B should not be grounds to avoid action taken or give rise to a cause of action against the town of Stanford or any officer or employee thereof.
Thank you so much.
The end.
So what I'd like to do is make a motion to adopt and then have discussion. So I make a
Second.
Okay. So does anyone have any comments or questions?
First, I'd like to thank you and Jane and the staff. I was on time for my daughter's wedding, but I was late to the party on the policy, so I thank you for giving me a little more time and for considering the suggestions I had. I think some of the ideas or suggestions I had might belong in a parallel policy. And so when it's next opportune, I'd like to present to the board those other ideas as a corollary to this policy. I will be voting yes tonight, and with enthusiasm. I do think some of the limits are going to be pretty tough on management, on the supervisor management. They're very strict, and so you'll be able to share with us your review of that in due time. So I'll be ready for it.
Okay, does anyone else have any comments? All right, then, Rita?
You want a roll call?
Yes, please.
Wendy Bergman,
Yes.
Ann Harron,
Yes.
Margaret Fallon,
Yes.
Nathan LaBertue,
Yes.
Frank Pepe.
Yes.
Okay, well, now we get to some fun stuff. We'll go from that. Dramatic reading by Councilwoman.
You didn't tell me to do it dramatically. I would have done it so differently.
It had a spotlight.
I have the great joy and pleasure of introducing Dennis Whitlock, who has been, I would say, a major part of the brains behind the committee to put together our very first community garden direct. I couldn't be happier that it's happened. And Dennis, I'd asked Dennis to give us a report of progress.
My pleasure. So the reason I wrote it is because I am not at all part of the brains of this operation, and just doing what Wendy and Ann tell me. So in 2022, Town Supervisor Wendy Burton received funding to create a Stanford community garden, and in early spring invited Ann Derry to lead a team of volunteers, including myself, and solicit the participation of the garden club and the Grange. Since then, Wendy has raised about $4,500 to build and plant the garden from places like the Berkshire Taconic Foundation and other donors. Our goal was to install and start planting this summer, which was a matter of weeks. In June, the Stanford Community Garden team considered a few potential locations and determined that the rec would be an ideal location for the project because of its central location. And rec improvement plan vision had already included a community garden in the roster of things they wanted to achieve. So approval to locate the project to a small plot of unused parkland, and also that was undesignated within their master plan, adjacent to the basketball court. So it's right where the lifeguards take their lunch, was received on June 13th, 2022, and immediately we received offers of support from residents, local businesses, and town agencies and committees. We received contributions from Duffy Layton, for example. Jim Myers at the Highway Department and his crew have been supplying us manpower when we look like we have no way of getting something done, and equipment to build the garden. Lauren, the Rec Commission, and the Rec family of fundraisers have been extremely supportive and helpful, and we've received great support from the volunteers from the CAC. So the garden was substantially completed and ready for planting on July 8th, just 3 weeks after the project began in earnest. The garden will be complete with fencing on September 16th. The total money spent to date have been over $2,000. The garden consists of 6 raised beds. There were 3 were reserved for town organizations, the CAC, the Garden Club, and the Grange. 3 were offered to Stanford residents, and 2 were taken as soon as they were offered. One by Lucy Kosofsky, and the other one by Samantha Ham. The plan envisioned for the Stanford Community Garden is summed up as we are more than a garden. Unlike a community garden in urban areas, ours is more of a demonstration garden as compared to an arrangement of garden plots typically offered to urban dwellers who don't have access to gardening. So, but the gardens that are installed are great examples of exactly that idea. Our community garden is a gathering place and an opportunity to partner with local organizations to raise awareness of the amenities available at the rec, the natural beauty of this 50-acre publicly held rural property that has a mile of Wappingers Creek river frontage. It's like, I don't think people even realize how much of an asset that is. And the importance of sustainable cultivation and conservation of our very fragile rural surrounds. So besides our Stanford community gardeners, we have now established partnerships with farmers. You know who I mean? Horticulturists and conservationists at Sister Hill Farm, Weathersfield, and Duchess Land Conservancy. And they're going to work with us to help create hands-on garden workshops, teaching children of all ages, and that means the forever young group. We are also partnering with Stanford Library, which already runs a Master Gardeners program with the help of the Cornell Cooperative Extension. This fall, right away, we're going to start to solicit ideas from residents as to what they would like to learn from a program like this, and like what day of the week, what time of the day would be best for people to come and participate in a program like this. So that we're going to ask people to help spread that survey around so that we can get as much input as possible. The library is going to help us do that, and the Weathersfield is going to help. Those organizations, by the way, are Stanford, right? Don't pay attention to what they say on the website. They're Stanford, Weathersfield, and maybe in the future we'll even get the other huge conservation group, which is Millbrook School, which is Stanford. On September 16th, from 4:30 to 6 p.m., we asked Lauren, our rec superhero, if it would be a burden if we could hold an intimate gathering to ribbon cut, which is the Stanford Community Garden, the rec, which is the day before Community Day. And so we can begin to thank all those people that have put so much into it. And we're hoping the town board will support that party, attend that party, and bring their friends and family. We really do want kids to participate in this program. We're going to hopefully create raised beds that children can actually play in the dirt with. And I really do think Sister Hills Farms demonstrate, there's so many children that are interested in gardening and farming and all of that. So I'm really hoping to have that extend. I mean, we have all these great institutions, and they're all excited to bring their knowledge and experience into the park, where it's a much more central place and people can more casually come upon what they have to offer. And then maybe from there, could go out to all these great places that we have here in Stanford. So thank you very much.
The synergy is just remarkable. It's like we couldn't ask for anything more. This is so much bigger than, let's have some beds in the middle of the parking lot. So you all are just awesome.
Thank you.
It all started with your idea, and it's beyond, it's just become extremely exciting.
It's truly, oh well, thank you. I just had a little bit brain bubble. Oh good, another long thing to read. Okay, the next item on the agenda is Resolution 8A, to introduce local law number 2, which amends section of chapter 140 of the town code entitled Subdivision of Land with Respect to Private Roads, Homeowners Associations, and Conservation Density Subdivisions. This is really sexy reading. And the reason this has come about is there are pieces of our own zoning code that are in conflict with one another, and we're standing in the way of finding a solution for a subdivision on Rocky Reef Farm. But the implications of changing this will go, this is the work that when we finish the comprehensive plan and we move to having a zoning commission rewrite our zoning law, this takes a nice little hunk out of work, and by making the code consistent within different divisions of the code. So I suppose I have to read this.
I think it could just be described generally, if you wish, and because it's going to be it's going to be introduced, and copies of it will be on file.
And then we're going to have a public hearing.
Although Margaret would do one.
I'll do it much more dramatic. I'll do it more dramatic.
Oh, I thought Nathan was gonna do a dramatic reading.
I need to change this.
Change what?
These names.
Oh, yeah, Mary Weinberger and Paul Cobbler are no longer on the
Oh, my
board.
goodness.
Oh, that's like a cut and paste thing, I do that too.
Well, you did do that.
I
I didn't do that, Bob.
The
My-
date's
My
right.
apologies.
The date's right,
Yes.
Yes, Frank? Oh.
There's another typo too. There are two section 10s, so the second section 10 should be
11.
renumbered section 11.
Actually, I see three
Three.
sections here, Bob.
There's 3 section 10s.
So we'll make them.
Three section 10s.
Yeah, we'll make them 11 and 12.
Oops. 10, 11, and 12.
So, yes, Frank?
Just a little clarification. On the agenda, it's local law number 2,
Yes, it
Yes.
is local law number 2.
and on the document, it's local law number 1.
It's number 2, yes.
Number 2.
Thank you.
So,
And if anybody needs a copy, I have extra copies.
with typos and everything.
Should I put them out for you?
You can keep it for
Does that,
posterity.
would anyone?
Makes me
So, I think what I would like to do is have this attached to the minutes. It will be available in the town clerk's office, and we will be holding a public hearing. In fact, so I think I will not read it out loud.
Maybe just read section 1,
Section 1.
because I think that might suffice.
That's a good idea. Section 1 says, the declaration of intent. Chapter 140 of the Town of Stanford Town Code contains the regulations the town planning board is required to apply to applications for the subdivision of land. The existing version of Chapter 140 includes provisions allowing private roads or private streets in residential subdivisions. The town board has determined that it is in the best interest of the town and its residents to update some of these provisions and to give the planning board the discretion to allow a mechanism other than a homeowners association to have the responsibility to maintain such private road. That's the nut of it. So, again, it'll be available to read in Rita's office, and I think we can post it on the website. And, but we need to set a date for the public hearing. And I don't know why that can't be at the next town board meeting,
September 8th.
September 8th. So, I make a motion to set that date at September 8th.
Second.
All in favor? At 7 p.m.
At 7 p.m.
So we'll do that first, is that right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we also have a resolution to introduce local law.
There should be, yes.
I think this is the resolution. This is resolution number
8A.
8A to
The local law
introduce the
too.
local law. Yeah,
Second?
2.
yes.
We're all
Oh,
done,
so we
yes.
have to, yes.
We're good.
Oh, you mean you want to make a motion to pass the resolution is what you're
In
saying?
addition to
Right, I
setting the
thought we
meeting.
just established the date for the public hearing, and I
Oh,
thought
so
the
you- okay.
resolution to approve is a separate matter.
Okay,
Agreed.
Thank you.
my fault. Are you making the motion, Frank?
I have made the motion.
Second.
Thank you. We'll do a roll call. Wendy Burton,
Yes.
Ann Aaron,
Yes.
Margaret Fallon,
Yes.
Nathan Virtue,
Yes.
Frank Pepe.
Yes.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Quality and Environmental Solutions Bill from 2017. A little while ago, I got a lovely pink, bright pink letter in the mail that said it was a friendly reminder that our account is past due. And what was attached was invoice to Joe Norton dating from November 21st, 2017 for work that was done on the old highway garage that had collapsed. It was an inspection that was done for asbestos and lead. So the bill is for $3,453, which of course we haven't budgeted for. And this was the first time it came to our attention since I took office in 2020. So I asked Bob Butts for some legal counsel on what we're supposed to do about this. The statute of limitations is 6 years. So this is within, is still in the statute of limitations. And I am in possession of the report that was issued. It turns out that the 3453 is actually a little bit less. Is that right?
Yes, less than the initial proposal. Reason being that some of the work was based on the number of tests, on an estimated number of tests that would be conducted at so many dollars per test, and the number of tests was fewer than initially estimated. But otherwise, it's totally in accordance with the with the proposal, except maybe for a very minor $20 processing fee that they included. But the total is several $100s below the initial proposal.
So, Bob, what is your advice on how we should handle this?
Well, I'm assuming that that it was most likely approved by the previous town board in 2017.
Rita couldn't find, well, she couldn't find a motion or she couldn't find a motion to go forward with this work.
And I checked from September to December of 17.
But you found discussion?
I found nothing,
Oh, nothing, okay.
nothing.
But however, there is, well, this was being handled by Ray Jerkowski, who was the town
Okay.
engineer at the time.
And yes, regardless of that fact, the work did go forward. It was accepted by the town. The report has actually been utilized, I understand, by the town, and we have the benefit of it. I think it would be therefore a binding contract on the town, and that it probably should be paid in some capacity, although you don't have it in your budget this year. It might even have to be paid next year if that were to be the case. And of course, the contractor, the consultant organization company that did the work was very neglectful in following up on its bill and presenting this. So there may be some basis for negotiation there with them.
You mean with the company?
With the company,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So, I can't really say that we're not obligated to pay it.
Right. But maybe that we can either, settle it for less or just tell them we'll pay it when we budget for it, or do partial payment now and a partial payment next year, but,
Yes.
okay. Anybody want to talk about that?
Sure. Bob, you mentioned there was a $20 processing fee. I don't see that on
It's
Or
the
you have a different,
It's the very
Just the
last,
last
last
the very
item.
last item.
Oh, I'm sorry, sample
preparation
preparation charge.
oh, okay, that
Yeah, I think that is.
it's not a an administrative charge, that's a handling charge for the sample that they've taken.
Apparently so, and to me, that's just de minimis, it's not worth,
Right.
I would dispute it.
I just turned this off because it was hard to hear everybody, but I don't want to fry the audience either. Or, so. The audience. So, yes.
It's an obligation we have, it's not going to get better with time. I would say we just pay it and find the money from within the budget or if necessary, tap into savings and just get it off the books.
And
I would be interested in having it, I mean, I do think we have to pay something, but I don't think it's bad to have a conversation with them and say, we have not budgeted for this. We're not prepared to pay it, just see if they'll go down, just do it, but, yeah, I agree, we do have to pay it.
Okay.
okey dokey. I shall call him. Retirement Resolution 8B, Rita prepared this. It's simply, when we promoted Katrina Gore to senior clerk, we have to just, this is for New York State retirement?
Correct.
We just have to issue another standard workday resolution. That's all. So I make a motion to accept resolution 8B.
Second.
Heard Margaret first.
She's sitting closest.
Yeah.
Wendy Burton,
Yes.
Ann Arendt,
Yes.
Margaret Fallon,
Yes.
Nathan LaVertue,
Yes.
Frank Pepe.
Yes. Yes.
Next item on the agenda is to continue our conversation about forming a senior task force. And
We were about 8, so
I keep jumping around. Resolution 8C. This is an addition, this is the last addition to the resolution we passed several months ago concerning using American Rescue Plan funds as part of a retention incentive for a part-time employee. This one, I will read it, Resolution 8A, 2022. The supervisor is authorized to complete the following budget modifications and transfer the funds from the American Rescue Funds account to the general fund to complete the one-time retention incentive for a part-time employee. The estimated revenue is $1311.05, and that breaks down into $1,217.88 for the building inspector, secretary salary, and the Social Security part of that is $93.17. So the total cash taken from ARPA would be $1,311.05.
The only amendment is you read it right, but it's actually 8C.
Yes.
Rita, you're gonna kill me. I mean, I'm gonna kill you.
Just listen to me, don't like what I put on the agenda.
Yes.
Yay! Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now, the discussion on the senior task force. Frank, you wrote up something, and I didn't print it out. Did you?
I have it, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think there's copies for all of us. I made a few changes, but
Yeah, they were good.
Yeah. Oh, so Frank, why don't you read this?
Can I introduce it first?
Of course.
A few weeks ago, I was invited to speak at the Forever Young Club, and we talked about the independent initiative Stanford a Caring Community, and I was representing that group at the time, and we did a little brainstorming about what seniors need, and I reported that list to the town board. Wendy and board members picked up on that theme and have now agreed that we would like, as a board, to participate with the Forever Young Club and the Stanford Caring Community Group to invite others and create a task force asking more broadly than the club, more broadly to our seniors, what do our seniors need, and then how might we help fill those, directly or indirectly. And so the letter that I have is the second draft. Thank you, Wendy. And the other two groups will have a copy of this, if that's okay. And they will review it for their satisfaction, and then I will bring it to Stanford Caring Community for those folks to review it. I'm sure it'll be fine, but I think as a courtesy to all three groups. So the letter reads as follows. So far, the quality of our society and the cohesiveness of our citizenry require attention to the interests of our senior citizens. The range of interests is broad, from housing to grocery shopping. Some may be within the scope of the town government, while others achievable by volunteers. Although some personal or corporate needs are well beyond the resources and experience of members of our town, providing easy-to-use contacts for senior citizens and other creative solutions may very well be within our capabilities. It's also realized that more expensive services and opportunities for senior citizens may also have interest for the broader community. 3 Stanford entities wish to initiate the identification and potential resolution of the interests of our older citizens and welcome the participation of additional interested individuals and organizations. This task force can also take advantage of organizations that already exist for the purpose of supporting seniors, such as the Dutchess County Office for the Aging and the Town of Rhinebeck Committee on Aging. Learning from the experience of other communities and tapping into these resources can hopefully streamline and enhance the work of this task force. Interested parties may contact Wendy Burton, the president of the Forever Young Club, if agreed, and myself for Caring Community.
And then we will be reaching out and into the community. And our next step will be reaching out into the community to form a greater task force.
And Gloria, I'll work with you on any additions, deletions, or changes that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful initiative. So we are going to we have rescheduled the comprehensive plan workshop for August 25th from 6 to 7:30 at Town Hall. That will be posted on the website, and I will let interested parties that I know about it, such as Stephen Horowitz and Mark Burdy and Henry.
August 25th, you said?
August 25th, yeah. The next, oh, Gary can't come, great. That's good. As long as he's there. You know, the interesting thing is he may well have to be just the next item on the agenda is a motion to approve a speed monitoring system purchase. The history on this is long and deep. Literally since I took office in 2020, I've wanted to purchase some of those speed indicators to slow traffic down. We hit a bunch of bumps, and then we hit COVID, and the project kind of went into a way back drawer. Jan and I resurrected directed it, and Jane did a tremendous amount of research on vendors and equipment. And we have reviewed all of there are 5 different vendors that we looked into. And we have settled on one called Traffic Logic. And we are going to buy 2 speed radar monitors that come on trailers so that they can be mobile and we can move them around town.
I think that the trailers are actually separate
They are.
items. What this does is it allows affordance for the other places that don't have trailer access to.
I think they always go on the trailer, but
I'm pretty sure you
you can just,
disconnect it, yeah, because of the solar panels.
okay, that's good. Anyway, so I would like to make a motion to purchase 2 of the EV15 SV model. Yeah, I thought that would be anyway, again, dry. But anyway, with 2 spare batteries. This is solar powered, but they have a fairly short duration. The batteries run for 5 days, so we're going to need to rotate them. And at a cost of $14,190 delivered.
Very easy.
What's the lead? Oh, we can pay for this out of American Rescue Plan funds.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Could you give me that number one more time, 14,190?
Yeah.
Pay attention.
Trying.
Someone's trying to AC out.
Wendy, just to comment on the way setup of the proposals, I think is really conservative.
Thank you, Ms. Cottrell. Okay. The boiler replacement RFP. There seemed to be a little bit of confusion surrounding this today. So what we have, what Jane has really created is a request for proposal to replace the ancient boiler furnace in our basement. That furnace is very large for the space that it's in. So when I think both Taylor Oil and also when Chris Flynn came down to look at the boiler, because I wanted him to double check to make sure that the boiler really was on its last legs, and he agreed with Taylor Oil's assessment. The suggestion was to buy 2 smaller boilers. That way we don't have to take the boiler apart before we even get it into the room to install and then reinstall. And 2 smaller boilers can still keep all of the space that's necessary. So what we'd like to do with this proposal is I think we already have 5 interested parties, or 5 parties that we want to solicit bids or RFPs from. Botini, Taylor, I want both, there are 3 local heating and plumbing companies that I'd like to send this out to as well, and hopefully keep it up. Who? No, these are individual, I mean, we could,
Oh, okay.
but it was 3 individual, like sole proprietorship companies. So anyway, I guess what I would like to do is ask for approval for us to send out this RFP.
So the emails was about the service, like that we were going back, the service bid, is that separate? Like if we go with company, no, I misunderstood the email.
Oh,
Confusion.
you mean, no, because, I see what you're saying, a
Yeah.
service contract?
Yeah, that's completely separate. So we can go with company A and then our service agreement might be with company B.
Right.
Right, like we will probably keep our service agreement with Taylor Oil.
No, Botini.
Oh, what does
It was
Taylor
like,
Oil
it
do?
was like the
Oh, they were
vouchers
doing.
the vouchers outside and say Botini.
Right, sorry, but Taylor Oil's been helping us with our, the water system that failed for a month. Sorry, Botini
Yeah, service contracts.
is with Botini, yes. Yeah, we're not obligated to buy the furnace from them, so.
Could we have a motion to put out the RFP, please?
I make a motion to put out the RFPs. You make the motion.
I made the motion.
Ann made the motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
All in favor?
I'm going to abstain, and I do understand that the vote to make this forward. I think after, and thank you, Jane, for doing incredible work. That is not just temporary for this particular situation, but available, will be available as a platform for any other requests for proposals. But after thinking through it, I would at another time in the work session talk about the broad scope of replacing 2 oil burners with one oil burner with 2 oil burners, and whether or not we want to look, well, this is out to proposals more broadly at gas burners or dual fuel burners, depending upon which cost of supply is greater or lesser, and other elements of energy conservation that we haven't been able to take advantage of, or we haven't been able to understand quite yet.
I think our biggest problem was that we're mid-August now, and we're in a few more months, we're going to need to heat the building. So I think I felt a great urgency to move forward.
Right. I do expect this is going to be approved, and I welcome that. I understand that. And we have a meeting on Tuesday with one of a new agency that will help us decipher and look at energy conservation measures. And so I'm happy to work with you, support you, Wendy, to go as quickly on that route as possible. But I think it's time, as this moves forward, I think the other should move forward as well. Gas, dual fuel, other opportunities, so that the resource, even though it comes from the ARPA, not town taxpayer funds, the resource might be used for heating system, dual fuel units, whatever that might be. This is not my expertise, but that we consider them before we land the ship. Thank you.
Yeah, that was some of the initial discussion that I think that I had was, I was asking, and that's why we had someone else look at it, asking about the severity of where we were at with the situation. Could we try to ride this out? And it sounded like it was risky that we could be in a dire situation. Because I made a similar comment that it just is unfortunate that we're having to be so reactive in this case, and it'd be nice to be much more methodical, but.
Agreed, but having been through this before with schools whose boilers, multiple, have completely broken down, it is possible to rent a boiler and ship in the hot water. So I'm a little less worried, but aware of the timing being really essential for us. I won't hold anything up. I just want to make sure we've explored everything, and that's the reason for my research.
That best go on.
I have one too.
Do we have that? Yeah, we can do it.
She's mocking. We have like battery powered heated vests because we get chilly, and she's mocking us.
She's mocking us. Okay.
No, I'm not mocking that. I won't.
Really? Oh, okay.
I might.
Might be cheaper to just get everybody a vest.
Jade, put out a bid. $5.
Then it'd be branded.
It is branded.
No, but I mean,
No, town of Stanford.
Oh, it's
Love it.
I like it.
our new heating system.
Yeah.
I love it. But I don't know if we can get one for the hot water pipes that, might
It'd be also hotties.
Okay, I mean the cold water. Can we please vote?
Sure.
Thank you.
Actually, we did. Do you want a roll call or just a?
No, I think we didn't yet.
Yeah, Ann Aaron made the motion, Margaret seconded. Wendy Burton,
Yes.
Ann Aaron,
Yes.
Margaret Fallon,
Yes.
Nathan LaBerge,
yes.
Frank Pepe,
Abstain.
Okay, now I'd like,
With due respect.
How much?
With the cost of a gallon of fuel oil at $6.
Frank. Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of June 9th, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hold that thought.
No?
June 9th, isn't it?
No, I made a typo. It should be July 14th. My turn to get a typo,
Good. Everyone's having it tonight.
because you already liked the June ones. So did you like the July ones?
I'd like to make a motion, I'd like to withdraw the motion, and I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of July 14th, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the abstracts for July, abstract number 7 for July. The general,
Oh, here I go again.
No.
August,
August.
number 8. I was so concerned about all the other stuff on the
It's been
top.
really hot.
We've also been drinking on the job. General fund spent $74,552.79. Highway funds spent $42,482.43. Bank of Lights, $947.44. And escrow is not part of the mix.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
As we have no other items on to explore, I can't see that is.
Well, this is the authorization to complete the following budget modification, which was number 8A on top.
It's 8C, and we did that. You voted on it.
We did that already.
Yeah, this is,
So on the
This
agenda,
is the
it's
8C.
number 6, resolution 8C. Is the retention
Just go
incentive.
find what I tell you.
there.
That was
This is
one
what
of
this
the-
is.
Why is
Where
it-
is it? Right here.
Ask me before you type the number in, all
When
right?
I read it and I said that it was 8.
Oh, this, okay, I didn't see that in the type, but got it.
Okay, so it is now time to open the floor for second privilege of the floor. If anyone has something to say, could you just identify yourself and your address to read and Mary, please?
My name is Stanford, and I'm at 43 Bowen Road, and I can't help but be curious about this boiler change.
Was the town told that it would take longer to consider other options
Longer than what?
than to just replace it with 2 small boilers?
We haven't gotten to, we're on the diving board of exploration of alternate methods of heating. We've had one energy conservation study conducted. In that study, they mentioned geothermal. There have been other ideas floated in the town. And Tuesday, Wendy and I meet with a representative of the Cornell Cooperative, is it? To help us go through the process of assessing generally energy conservation measures.
I understand that.
That's
but
not what, your question was,
If the town was told it takes longer to consider a gas unit as opposed to an oil unit,
oh, no, it was not told that. It wasn't told that.
because oil is obviously the most problematic fuel to use.
So are you saying that the only thing that would have to change would be the type of boiler, like the physical type of boiler? You
And
could,
gas being delivered.
right. So you'd have gas delivered instead of oil being delivered, but
So you need a tank. But still,
is it propane? Or no, it's,
Propane.
oh, so, yeah,
We do have-
we do have a propane. Yeah.
Actually,
I mean, it's not the best solution, but it's certainly better than oil.
Well, that's a really good thing to mention, because nobody came in and said, do you want to have the conversation about switching over to gas now? It was just, the room is actually too small now. I mean, I don't know how they got it in the first time I wasn't here, but, so it was just suggested we do 2 gas, there's 2 oil, nobody said anything about gas, but it's not, I imagine it wouldn't be,
It would be worth asking.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know the dimensions, but of all things, it's like coal, oil, gas. Oil is,
no, that's a great
and a heat
idea.
pump is even better, but,
Yeah.
you know, but I don't know, but if you're limited for time,
We had,
because you're talking about hot water, right?
in some of the discussions that we had before we knew about the boiler situation, the heat pump was discussed. And that's where I made some of the conversation kind of change. I was like, this is just unfortunate that it's like
Right.
the boiler's on its last
Right.
legs. That's the thing, because we were talking about like, oh, we've got some time, what's the best option? And now we're kind of up against the wall.
It's just heat pump require air a little bit. Gas, heat pump would require you to change the way the heat is delivered.
Right, yeah,
Gas
so that's,
would not.
yeah.
All right, can,
It'd be worth asking.
yeah, Jane,
And it's cheaper.
I'm wondering, so that we don't turn the privilege of the
change?
floor into a piece of discussion, if maybe could Dennis and I chat so that, after the meeting, so that we can make an appropriate adjustment to the language of the RFP that makes clear that we're open to any form of fuel, and of course, they'll be specifying their timetables for it, so that that could go out right in, and we could even specify our preference.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do that just writing words. I need to have some information.
absolutely.
Okay,
Should
That-
be,
that's
should
the
be a relatively brief way to modify the document, because there isn't a mention of,
We just say replacement system.
well, we identified in the bid spec, it mentions two specific models, or
But it also says,
it says or equivalent, so that's where, we can further just provide an amendment.
well, how
that says-
about we modify the definition of equivalency, which is there,
Yeah,
so that it includes alternative,
yeah,
shop
that was basically where I was going there.
You're a genius.
Oh, Tom and Karen.
I'm sorry?
When you had contractors suggest to us that we install dual
Yes, right here.
split systems like in the
Yes.
senior citizen, since we're going through this exercise, should we expand to that option as well?
No, I mean, not to heat the, I don't.
You won't be able to do that because there's some rooms that are interior, and there's no, you have to up through a bunch of the walls to do an exhaust access. That would work.
But if, I don't know if that's a good solution or not energy-wise. I don't, it's not my field. If it were a good solution, then perhaps it would have an impact on the number or the size of boilers we would need for the
Gotcha.
internal rooms, which would be mostly
So it'd be like a
core.
mixed solution.
quite
A mixed solution.
a mixed solution.
Okay, yes?
Thank you for the dedication, I really appreciate it. And a year ago, I did not know what the Forever Young Club was or anything. And thanks to the support and everyone working with me, I really feel good that it's headed in the right direction. Thank you, Wendy, Rita, who I deal with all the time, Jane, Frank. I mean, everyone has really given me a hand and, supporting me and stuff. And yes, I would like to take that survey on the gardening classes to my members. I think they would enjoy that. So when you have them available, I'd like some. But thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. Jane?
We're still on privilege of the floor, right?
Yes.
That's where we are in the meeting. I just want to say from the perspective that I have, that it's incredible to hear this report about these gardeners. I mean, the energy around that and the energy around the revamping of the rec, I mean, it completely alters the landscape, completely alters the environment. And it's really stimulating, you know, to just the average Joe citizen walking up. So, them things are a great reward.
Really, Anne is,
Anyone else?
Krista. Krista Searle, 504 Cold Spring Road, but I'm speaking on behalf of the library tonight, and my comment fits in nicely with the senior task force. As you're out there talking to seniors, something that we have now that's a formal service, but it's always been an informal service because of the kind of director Arlene was, but now it's a formal service. We do home delivery for people, so seniors may need home delivery of library materials.
Oh, cool.
So if somebody is homebound, and can't get out, yeah, DVDs, you know, whatever, large print books, all kinds of things. So if there's a senior you're talking to who's homebound, you know, just be aware that that service exists now in a formal way, and they can call the library. And two of our board members have stepped up and volunteered to go. And we did it for a few people. It's not hugely popular yet, but I think just getting the word out there, and as you speak to seniors, that's something they would love to know. And
Krista, I'm a senior.
homebound, I'll deliver to town hall for you. How's that?
Just a word, one of the topics that the seniors brought forward was communication other than computers.
Yes.
They all get mail, and they all have phones. And the reliance for many of us on our computers doesn't fit in that niche. So, and I thank you for volunteering to be on the commission. On the desk.
Oh, is that what I did? That's what I did.
Anyone else? Well then, Margaret?
Oh, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for attending. We appreciate it. You all got a copy in your mailbox.